Remember when one time crashed and burned? Not literally, I mean it was a figurative crash and burn. Then suddenly all of the airlines started bumping up their prices and it became very expensive on Kulula and British Airways and SAA to fly anywhere in the country. And then came another low-cost carrier. How does a low-cost carrier fly high with keeping costs low? It's the secret, of course, of the business model. It said 2016 was another year for the local airline industry, with SAA's low-cost carrier Mango posting a loss of 39 million. SAA secured additional state loans and guarantees of 5 billion. Comair did okay, actually. Comair, its share price is recovered quite nicely. It's trading at nearly 5 Rand a share after it showed a really nice improvement during 2016, courtesy of lower oil prices for most of the year and, of course, a stronger Rand. But passenger volumes are under a huge amount of pressure in the domestic market as unemployment rises, as wage increases aren't as spectacular as they once were. This is the Moneymakers. I'm Bruce Whitfield, and tonight we discuss low-cost carrier FlySafair's model, how it's managed to make some profit for a second year of operations, with the Chief Executive Elmar Conradie. You guys have been doing commercial routes with FlySafair for a year, 18 months?
We started October 2015.
Okay, so it's about 18 months or thereabouts.
Just more than 2 years.
You had a bit of a hiccup, you had a bit of a bumpy start, people were worried about your shareholding. Comair came and said, oh, but you're Irish, you're not South African, you had to sort that mess out.
Yeah, it was just Comair that was worried, nobody else.
No, only Comair. And then you went back at them, of course, and said, what about your shareholding? Yeah. So, I mean, was that all fun and games, or is there actually are there serious concerns in that sort of space?
Well, at the time, the major requirement there is that local airlines must have a maximum of 25% foreign shielding or 75% local shielding. Or that's where the sort of contentious issue was, is does the Act actually talk about shielding? Does it talk about management? Does it talk about voting rights? What does it actually talk about? And they took us on about that because one of our shareholders, although he was a South African, was living abroad at the time.
Yeah,
that was the big contentious issue.
FlySafair is part of SAFair, which I mean a lot of South Africans would remember as sort of being the outsourced partner of the Defence Force in the 1980s and flying troopies to the border and all of that sort of stuff. So it has got a colourful history as the company SAFair. Since then, it's logistics, it's cross-border trade, it's you still fly the C-130s and the C-160s and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so SAFair is actually 52 years old this year.
Whoa.
Yeah, there's this misconception that the other side of our business is mostly cargo, but it's actually not. We refer to it as the ACMI business, which stands for aircraft crew maintenance and insurance. So it's almost like a fully comprehensive lease of the aeroplane. So in the past, we actually flew for the likes of Comair, Kulula, Mango, SAA, all of the local carriers, even one time when they were still around.
No wonder they're grumpy that you came in as competitors, because you were learning the trade off their backs.
Well, well, it depends on who you're talking to about now, but we came in after one time.
I mean, how do you succeed in an industry that is quite competitive in South Africa? There aren't that many passengers, there are not that many routes, there are not that many secondary airports which you can use. Most of the airports you use are owned by the airports company South Africa. How do you compete?
Well, it is very, very competitive. The one thing that we definitely had going for us is the fact that we weren't a new airline. So a lot of the sort of startup costs that you would normally associate with starting a new airline, we already had that sorted. We knew how to fly the aeroplanes, we had the aeroplanes. So it was figuring out how to sell and actually how to do customer service and the softer issues around running an airline.
Well, the important stuff that people care about when they sit down on your plane.
So, but the biggest thing is exactly that. People still get the concept wrong about what does a low-cost airline mean, because then they don't understand when you charge 2,500 Rand for a ticket. But a low-cost airline is exactly about our costs. It's about us trying to keep our cost per seat down. But then at the same time to fill the seats. And to fill the seats, we do this trick where we start selling at really low prices and we end at really high prices, and we hope to average somewhere out in the middle where we actually make money.
I mean, if somebody's prepared to trust you that you will still be flying in 6 months' time and buys a ticket for their June school holidays now, they will get the benefit of paying you now. You get the benefit of the cash now. They get the benefit of a certain seat later on.
Yes. Well, what we've seen in the local market, though, is, and we're not quite sure whether that's a phenomenon of the economy, but the booking curve, as we like call it, has shortened tremendously.
Velvet Sky, nationwide. I mean, I've forgotten the names of the 10 airlines that have come and gone in the last 10 years. We simply don't trust that you're going to be around in 6 months' time, and that's the trouble, I suspect.
That is the trouble. But I would say, after 2.5 years and flying and other guys actually going under while we've been... although it's just 2.5 years, I would like to say that we're actually the most recent entrant with the longest history.
You've survived that long.
We've survived that long. But the big benefit we've got is the history in that it's not the only part of our business.
Do you own your aircraft? Or do you lease them?
It's a mix. We've got some aircraft that's owned and some that's leased.
How many are in the fleet?
We've got 9 at the moment that flies for FlySafair. We've got 16 in total.
Okay, but 9 are doing the FlySafair routes.
Yes.
You're doing East London, Cape Town, you're doing Port Elizabeth, Cape Town, you're doing Cape Town, Joburg, you're doing Joburg PE and East London, no doubt. And Durban will fit into the mix.
Yes,
that's
Joburg, Durban.
A lot of frequencies with 9 aircraft, 7 days a week.
And that's part of the formula, is to try and get the utilization on the aircraft as high as possible, so that your fixed cost, which is your aircraft and your crew, to spread that amongst as many seats as possible. Not unlike a manufacturing plant where you try and produce as many units as possible. So the more units we produce, so the more times we fly, the more seats we've got in the air, the cheaper the cost is per seat.
On average, how long is a plane spending in the air every single day?
It varies. One of the secrets one of the things that we've tried to implement when we started is a variable schedule. We've got a core schedule, but then we try and really ramp up in the high seasons or the high months.
So the mining and is happening in Cape Town soon. You might chuck on an extra flight at that point. It's holiday season, private schools at this time, government schools at this time, religious holidays here, there and everywhere.
I mean, to give you an idea, our normal schedule would be, let's say, 1,100 flights a month. In December, for example, we pushed that up to 1,400 flights for the month of December.
That's a 30% increase. Logistically, that must be quite challenging.
It is quite challenging. But yeah, we've got a good team. Like I say, we've got the experience, so the guys can handle it.
I mean, one looks at the operations and one watches passengers getting off your flights, and you've got the next line of passengers ready to board. Your turnaround times are what, 30 minutes? 25
minutes. We actually, in that year where we couldn't fly, we actually had the opportunity to fly for Ryanair. So we learned the tricks of the trade there. We learned how they do the 25-minute turnarounds, and we brought it to South Africa. So we were the first airline to bring the 25, and that's why you get that sort of, there's no time to waste. We board the guys as quickly as possible. When we land, it's also get off as quickly as possible so that we can get it all done in 25 minutes.
I mean, anyone who's ever flown Ryanair, anyone who's ever flown EasyJet knows there's not too much dignity in low-cost travel in Europe anymore. It's fighting for seats, pre-booking seats and stuff. Certainly when I've done it, has been a no-no. You kind of get an advantage if you borrow somebody else's small child and drag them on with you. But that's the real low-cost airline, where why should I pay for somebody else's suitcase to be carried if I have just a backpack or I've got nothing with me? I want the barest bones of a plane ticket, and I'm prepared to pay $150 and somebody else is prepared to pay $500 because they've got a suitcase and a child and a pram. We don't have that kind of really robust low-cost model yet. Are we headed there?
Well, we sort of leaning towards that, but we're not quite there.
You're doing extra baggage costs.
We do the extra bags. I would say we're the first airline in South Africa to truly unbundle our fares. So your ticket price really just gives you a bum in the seat. You don't get a bag, you don't get a pre-selected seat or anything like that. So we make a fair amount of our revenue out of those ancillaries, selling you the seat, selling you bag, selling you insurance, selling you bag insurance, all those kinds of things. But so we're leaning.
Do people buy that stuff?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So they're prepared to take the low-cost ticket and add on to it.
Yes,
and it varies. And it might even bring them up to close to a ticket where they would get a drink on the plane too.
Well, we basically, you can design your product that you almost have a full service offering, where you've got a ticket that you can change as many times as you want. You've got a ticket that you can cancel and get a refund on. The only thing that we don't offer is we don't offer the catering on board for free. You still pay for that. But you can basically get to a point where you can buy a full, almost business class ticket.
But is it still competitively priced?
Very, very. I mean, some of the independent research that some of the guys did was that on the routes where we flew, the prices dropped by 39%. And we still believe that we are the most competitive on those routes. are we always the cheapest? No, we're not, because the prices are determined by supply and demand. And if we happen to sell out faster than the other guys, then we will be more expensive than them. So it's all about supply and demand.
I mean, you are also very flexible. I think you at one stage had certain, like 2 flights on certain routes. You take one of those planes off. It's that flexibility that you have in terms of your scheduling also, which enables you to utilize that fleet of 9 aircraft. I mean, if one aircraft goes and becomes unserviceable on a day, what does it do to your schedule?
It causes chaos. And that's normally where...
But can you call on spare?
Yes, we've got a spare aircraft. But that's the everybody dreads that, the passenger dreads that, we dread that, because well, you know, it's often that scenario where the customer doesn't realize that the aircraft that's late for them is actually late for 6 flights that day.
Anybody who takes a 9 p.m. flight out of any airport in South Africa knows exactly what the knock-on effect is.
I would like to hope that we had a 95.8% overall dispatch reliability last year.
Well, in English, that means you pushed back on time.
Yeah, so we pushed back 96% of the time last year. So only 1 out of like every 17 flights were delayed.
How much profit do you make per seat?
It's not much. It's only about R5 at this stage.
Only R5 a seat. I mean, whereas Comair is making, I think, $40 or
25, I think was the
25
last,
to 30. Okay, 25 to 30 rand a seat. So they're more profitable than you are.
Definitely, yeah.
How do you become more profitable? You got to bump up prices.
Well, the big thing for us up to this stage was in terms of our business forecast and our budgets. The second year and the third year was actually still supposed to run at a loss. That's why we're so, satisfied with just making a profit at this stage.
You had lower oil prices in your favor last year, like Comair did, and they've had a couple of trading updates, which no doubt you've had a good look at in the last couple of weeks. They've got to disclose. And of course, you've had the rand-dollar exchange rate coming down.
Yes.
So that's gone in your favor. If it goes opposite, what happens this year?
We did have that in our favor. The one thing that everybody seems to forget is the exchange rate in that equation. The exchange rate went up, so all your input cost goes up. All the maintenance on the aeroplane, the fuel price. We see the fuel price at the fuel tank, so we also pay more for the fuel, maintenance costs, reserve costs on the aeroplanes. Everything, the aircraft itself, the lease costs on the aeroplane goes up. So all of that cost went up. So whereas the rest of the world had a fantastic 2016, where even people like Warren Buffett said he's starting to invest in airlines, I think in South Africa we had the exchange rate to contend with, and then of course there was a lot of capacity in the market. So, and that's partly our fault.
Thanks for that.
We brought all the capacity.
What you've done is, for those of us who fly on a fairly regular basis, you've helped keep airline prices down. So thank you for that. For those of us who pay tax, of course, we're grumpy because he's making it tougher for SAA to turn a profit, or maybe that's their own doing. The FlySafair Chief Executive Elmar Conradie giving us an insight into the world of FlySafair, the newest kid on the block. I can't believe it's been 2 years already, but certainly whenever there's a new player, especially one that sticks around long enough, there is downward pressure on air tickets, which is ultimately good for all of us. Thank you so much for watching the Moneymakers. Till next time, bye-bye.